Hello everyone, welcome to the first session of Ask Deidre. Today I'll be answering the question, how can I improve my spoken English? So, once you improve your grammar, your English grammar, your overall level of English will improve. So not just your speaking, but also your listening, writing, and reading. Now here are a few speaking specific tips. The first tip is to learn phonics. Now, phonics tells you the relationship between letters in English from A to Z and their sounds. Phonics teaches you how different consonants sound together, how different vowels sound together. So once you have this basic foundation, it will help you to speak better. The next thing is to read out loud. Now this is a very helpful thing to do, because if you learn phonics and you learn how letters sound and how vowels sound together and how consonants sound together, then when you are reading out loud, you are able to put them together and you will say to yourself, is this supposed to sound like this? Is this supposed to sound like this? And you will be able to improve by yourself over time. Reading out loud also helps to build your confidence, so that when you're in conversations, you'll remember some of the vocabulary that you read, and you'll also remember a lot of the words and how they look, so you're able to pronounce them more quickly. Now, the second tip is, well, these two kind of go together. Watching movies with subtitles and repeating after them. So this tip is a little bit of listening, a little bit of speaking, right? So if you are watching a movie on YouTube, you can turn on the closed captioning and try to repeat after what the person says. Now this will help you to improve not only your pronunciation, but also your intonation. Now intonation is when you go up and when you go down. It's basically how to pronounce words at different parts of the sentence, right? So when you repeat after the native English speakers in these movies, you'll be able to improve not only your pronunciation, but also your intonation, and you can become more fluent over time, because you will hear phrases, you'll hear complete sentences that you can apply to other situations. So this is a very helpful tip. You can also download the lyrics to different English songs. Well, not downloading, but maybe Googling and singing along. So, for example, your favorite artist is Beyonce. You can look for her song on YouTube and look for Beyonce Single Ladies with lyrics. And a lot of English songs on YouTube, they have the videos with the lyrics. So you will be able to learn to pronounce words in a much easier and a more fun way. So this is a very fun tip, singing along to your favorite English songs, right? So something I did an exchange program in order to improve my Japanese. Now, as an English student, if you can afford an exchange program, I would encourage you to do one also. It doesn't have to be like an academic exchange program like I did, but if you can spend a month or even 2 weeks in a native English speaking country, it is something that I very strongly encourage. And I always encourage people to go alone, because guess what? When you go alone, you have to speak the country's language. Right? If you go with your friend, you'll be tempted to speak in your native language. So if you can, try to go alone. Now, while I was an exchange student, something I did a lot was to speak with myself. So, for example, if we learned about directions in class, when I went home, I would ask myself, okay, if this happened to me, how would the conversation go? So I would be saying my part and I'd be saying the other person's part. So I would say, okay, I'd ask the person, how do I get to the train station? And the person replied this way. And then if I go down the road and I can't find it, then I would ask another person, how do I get to the train station from here? This person said X to me, but now I'm lost. Where do I go next? you know. So I would practice whole conversations in my head, and believe it or not, it worked. Because guess what? Whenever I did not know a word, I had to search the dictionary for it. And in this way, I was able to remember a lot of phrases. So this is something you can try too, speaking to yourself. It's really not so bad after all. Alright, so this next tip is to take classes. Now, this is for you who you have been trying to study English on your own, and you realize that you are really not moving forward. You need some guidance. That is what teachers are for. Now, native English speaker or not, both have their pros and cons. But if you can find an English teacher to help you at whatever level you are at, that may really help you to advance much more quickly in English. Now, this next tip is something I always tell my students. Practice, practice, practice. Nothing beats practice, right? So you can learn something in your class today, right? You can learn something in your class today, and if you never practice after that class, you won't remember it. You will not. If you have a whole list of vocabulary items and you never practice using those words in full sentences, or if you never practice using those words in conversation with people, you will never remember those words and you will not improve your spoken English. So you, as a student of English, have to take the initiative. You have to put aside a 15 minutes or a 30 minutes block per day to say, during these 15 minutes, I am going to speak English. The only way to get better at speaking is to speak, right? Let me repeat. The only way to get better at speaking is to speak. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just practice, practice, practice. The more mistakes you make is the faster you learn, right? Fail quickly, learn the lesson, move along. But you must practice. Nothing beats practice. And finally, just some words of encouragement. Keep trying. Don't give up. Okay, so I know English is hard. There are so many rules and so many exceptions, and persons have different accents, and one country pronounces one word this way, one country pronounces it another way, one country spells it this way, one country spells it another way. But just focus. Whatever country it is that you want to sound like, whatever country you want to go to, focus on that country's way of speaking and spelling English and doing English grammar, and just go with that. Don't give up. Don't confuse yourself. Don't learn from too many sources. Stick to I would say 2 to 3 sources that you trust. Follow them. Do what they say. Improve your English over time. Okay, well, that's it for today. I hope these tips will help. If you like the tips, share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, email them to me at info@deidreteachesenglish.com. See you in the next video.